Morning. Today we're going to talk about seeding, and I'm going to go over a bunch of different information. This could be a 2-hour video, and I'm going to compress it. I hope I can compress this into maybe 15 minutes or so, but there's a lot of stuff to cover, so hold on. Hey guys, I got a lot of questions about seeding. Not just warm season, but cool season grasses and soil, all kinds of subjects. Now, we cover a lot of this in the lawn guide, so make sure you go to freelawncareguide.com and get the lawn guide. The lawn guides are free. We leave them up all the time. There's no app, there's no email to sign up. Just go there, bookmark it, use it. Bermuda, zoysia, cool season, it's all up there. Okay, so let's talk about seeding. I'm gonna break this down. Here's what we did, and this is why I'm making this video. We decided to come out and do a reseed on our green. So we're doing a reseed on our green. We've got a reseed project that we've got to do across the street where they had a septic system, a whole drain field torn up, and it's all red clay. So we got to do that. And then my daughter's been nagging me to go over to her house. They have an area in the backyard that's basically just red clay, hard red clay. So we finally grabbed some stuff and ran over there and did a seeding. So I've got three, and all in the same time frame. I've got three of these projects, and I think you'll learn from them. We also did the full reseed down at the beach house where we killed off the entire lawn, which was mostly weeds. We brought in a huge amount of topsoil and we planted zoysia, and we had a beautiful zoysia lawn in probably about 4 or 5 months. And everyone says it takes 2 years. I proved them wrong. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, of course, if you really should, if you're going to replant an entire lawn, I really strongly suggest you get a soil test. That's going to be a real big help for you. You got to know what's in your soil. You got to know what you're putting down. I know a lot of you won't do that, so I'm going to talk both ways about it. Let's talk about the type of ground, type of soil that you're going to be doing, or the type of lawn that you have. In other words, do you have an established lawn that you want to reseed? Do you have a lawn that you want to change over, like from fescue to Bermuda, or you want to change it to something? Do you have just a real crappy lawn that's just weeds and ground, and you want to plant a lawn? Or do you have a brand new lawn? Whatever it is, we're going to talk about that, but there's some key principles that go along with this, and it's understanding whether your soil has life or it doesn't have life. As an example, a lot of cool season guys overseed. So you guys do a lot of overseeding, and that means your lawn already has life. And what do I mean by that? It means it has root systems. It goes back to a lot of regenerative farming, where roots in the soil all the time. So if you have roots in your soil, you've already a step ahead of the game. And really, you don't have to do a whole lot. All you have to do is just basically just get some kind of scarifier or some kind of dethatcher with blades on it and tear up that ground a little bit and put seed out and water it, and guess what? The grass will grow. But then there are times that we're going to bring in soil. So if you have a real crappy lawn, you have real crappy soil, like down at the beach house, we brought in truckloads of soil, and I put down 3 inches of soil all over that lawn, and then I reseeded. Then we're going to go to something like my daughter's house, where that back area was just solid hard red clay. And unfortunately, I couldn't get my core aerator over there, which is what I really needed to do. I really needed to core aerate that real heavy and break up that ground. I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you already have roots in the ground, you're ahead of the game. So you can cut that grass down really low, and then you can use some type of scarifier just to stir up the ground, put down seeds, and your grass will grow. It's pretty simple. But when you have bare ground, you need to do more than that. So the type of ground that you're working and the type of project that you're working on is also going to determine what type of equipment you need. I mean, if you just have hard bare ground, you may actually need to till that up. But usually you can get by if you just have solid dirt, horrible ground. You can take a core aerator and just core-ate the living crap out of it, and that'll tear it up. And I'll show you that on the green here in a minute, where when we do this, we bring up a lot of this soil, and then when we come back over with just like a scarifier, it really creates a really nice nesting place for those new seeds. Now let's talk about the seed. Seeds are going to depend on your zone, obviously. You're not going to try and grow Bermuda up in Chicago. It's just not going to grow. It's a warm season grass. And you're not going to try and grow, let's say, fescue down in deep Texas, because it's just too hot. It's not going to do well. So that's why we have warm season and cool season grasses. So you need to figure out what type of grass do I want and what zone. What do I want? What type of grass do I want? Now, the other thing we're have to determine is when to seed. Now, cool season guys, everyone says cool season guys, you need to do your seeding in the fall. Well, that's not necessarily true. A lot of people do overseeding in the spring and have success with it. So yes, you can seed in the spring if with cool season, still have success. Warm season guys, we only have a fairly small window. It's not a small window, but it's a distinct window. And that is the warm temperature. So for me, I can start seeding probably maybe in late May, and then all the way through June, I can actually seed Bermuda and warm season grasses. Cool season lawns, your soil temperature needs to be 50 to 60 degrees for seed to start germinating. Warm season like Bermuda and zoysia, 68 to 75 needs to be your soil temperature. You got that? So that's why I'm saying if you have a warm season lawn, you cannot seed in the spring. You've got to wait to almost early summer before you can seed. How does the weather correlate to your seeding projects? I want you to pull up the 10-day forecast, and if you see heavy rains coming in, do not seed. I would rather have you seed. Look for a period of a good 5 or 6 days where it's like only 5 or 10% chance of rain. That's a good time to seed because you want to control the water distribution on that seed. You don't want to have big thunderstorms come by after you seed and wash all your seed away. It happens all the time. So look for a period where you're going to have a good 5 or 6 days where you're going to have no heavy rainstorms, and then you control the water. After you seed, unfortunately, if you want to have quick germination, you need to become what I call a water slave. You're a slave to your lawn when it comes to watering. You really have to get out there and keep that seed wet, Like on the green back here, I'll come out several times a day and mist it, or I'll run the irrigation system on that station several times a day. And one of the tricks I've learned is right at sunset, I want you to water your seed. And why is that? That's because, not heavy, just light. Water your seed because your seed will stay wet all night long. So you've got 12 hours where it's not going to dry out. I mean, think about if you watered it in the morning first thing, and then the sun comes up, the seed's going to dry out. But if you water it at night, that seed stays wet all night long. So yes, you need to, if you have an irrigation system, run that irrigation system lightly several times a day and then right at sunset. And I've seen germination in 3 days on some of this stuff. Cool season generally germinates faster. Cool season seed generally germinates anywhere from 3 to 6 days, 3 to 7 days, something like that. Warm season grasses are longer. I have seen earlier germination, but something like a zoysia can be germination. It can take 6 to 14 days. Bermuda, same thing. Bermuda can take 5 to 10 days before it starts to germinate. So it takes a long time for that stuff, for warm season grasses to germinate. Now, what are you going to put down when you actually do your seeding? You don't want to do a whole lot. Get a soil test, and if you need to make corrections, then make corrections to your soil. But what I like to put down, if you don't have a soil test, is put down Humichar and then PGF Balance. They're both, PGF Balance is all fast release. You put down a coat, you're getting all the nutrients into the soil that it needs. You're not putting down a high nitrogen fertilizer. Put down PGF Balance and put down Humichar. Over at my daughter's house, we just had a small area, and I put a whole 40-pound bag. We went over that 4 times and just dumped down Humichar, and then we came over with the scarifier and tried to stir it up as much as we can to get it in the soil. It's carbon. It's carbon and humic acid. It's great for new seed. If you wanted to hit it with super juice, we've had real good success. Matter of fact, I'm going to come hit the green out here today, probably with some super juice. Super juice with the sea kelp and everything else is inside of it. I've seen it help germination. So yes, I'm going to mix up a little super juice and come out and hit this green today, now that it's all established. So let's talk about the green. The green project. The green project, last year we had to abandon the green because we were working on the beach house so much. My son was texting me saying, dude, there's weeds, it's burning out. And I said, just let it go. Just forget about it. So it was full of weeds, it died off. We're going to rebuild it this year. Basically what we did back here is we just did a layering process. So I came in here, core aerated, then I scarified, then I put down seed. Then I scarified again. And we raked it, and I put down more seed. Then we put down sand, I put down more seed. And then we raked it again, then we rolled over it, we rolled it. So it's just that multi-layering on the upper level. And I want you to understand something when you plant seed. Seeds have their own energy inside them, and they only have so much energy to break through to reach the sun. Got it? So you only want to plant seed, especially this fine stuff, as like 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Now something that's a bigger seed, like a rye or a fescue, you can go down to 1/2 inch or even 3/4 of an inch. But these little tiny seeds, they don't have the energy to push up too far. So be aware of that. A seed has its own stored energy, and if it gets buried deep, it's not going to be able to make it to the surface and get the sun, and it'll actually die off. So you don't want to plant grass seed 2 inches down. But I like to layer it. So I come out with a light coat, scarify, roll it. Come out here, light coat, put something down, roll it. So I do several little seeds, and I did that down at the beach house. When we had that down there, I put out a coat, I scarified it, I rolled it, I came back, I put down another coat, I rolled it. So I have just a few different levels. Morning. So let's talk a little bit about, by the way, that's sunscreen on my nose. I got to be real careful about the sun out here lately. Let's talk about the products that we're using. Humichar. You definitely want to throw down Humichar on every single soil, and if you have crappy red clay soil or just crappy soil, put down a ton of Humichar. Now remember, you're basically putting out humic acid and carbon, and that's it. There's no nutrients. You can put down as much as you want. If you want to dump down 1 inch on your lawn and till it in, till it in. Matter of fact, I tell people, if you're laying down new sod, put down a huge amount of Humichar, because you're able to till it in and work it in before you put your sod down. You'll never be able to do that again. So we put down Humichar. If you don't have high phosphorus, then go ahead and put down a coat of PGF Balance, which is all fast release. If you do have high phosphorus, maybe look for like a, I don't know, it's almost impossible to find a 10-0-10 fertilizer, or you can put down a little Green Shocker. Green Shocker is a 712, so it's real low in phosphorus, but it's all fast release. You just don't want to put down a slow release. You don't want to put down a strong fertilizer. You want to put down just a little bit of nutrients. After I get everything settled and I've watered it for a couple of days, about the time the seeds are going to start that germination process, I like to spray with Super Juice. And why do I do that? It's because Super Juice technically is not really a fertilizer so much as it is sort of a biostimulant. It has sea kelp and it has humic acid in it. And I was just reading an article from Iowa State Extension Office about there has been significant results as far as seed germination, because sea kelps contain plant growth regulators that can actually help grow, help with that stimulation of the root growth. So yes, on new lawns, I like to spray it in new seedings. I'll spray down some Super Juice. Once I have germination, you don't want to come out here and put down a regular type fertilizer. I want to caution you against that, because your seed is brand new. It's going to be fine. It just needs a little bit of nutrients. And down at the beach house, on both the zoysia and on the perennial rye we planted down there, I'm just putting down a light coat of Green Shocker. Water it in every week or two, just a light coat. That's a little bit of nutrient that's just immediately delivered. Just a little bit. Once I get good established lawn, then I can stop that, just go to my standard slow release. Make sense? All right, so this morning, I'm not going to do too much. We didn't do too much with the green as far as, because we've loaded that up with Humichar before, but I do want to get down some Super Juice. Again, the humic and the sea kelp is really what I'm going for here. There's a little bit of nutrients in there just to get that biostimulant going. So I'm actually going to do it a little bit differently today. A lot of people, when they buy Super Juice, this will last you a long time. But when you cut this bag open, what I like to do is I actually like to take this and put it into, you know, those gallon Ziploc freezer bags. Take this up and divide this into gallon freezer bags. I have that down at the beach house, and they're sitting up on the shelf, and they're perfect. And they'll sit there for years just perfectly. Sometimes if you open this up, it doesn't seal right, and you can get a little bit of clumping and stuff. The moisture gets into it. So after you open up this, I recommend that you take this and pour it into those gallon Ziplocs and then store them up on your shelf and just take one as you need it. And all I'm gonna do it different today. I've got some warm water in one of my spray bottles. So this is what Super Juice looks like when it's dry. It's a dry powder. and it has it's a 712 with humic acid, sea kelp, micronutrients, iron. I mean, there's just tons of good stuff. And again, it's not really a fertilizer. It's a supplement and also a stimulant. Now, what we do in the summertime is we add our microbial packs to this. And that has done so much for our lawns, is adding that good mycorrhizal fungi and microbes into our soil, the little boost up, especially this nasty soil. Pour it through the funnel into the bottle. I'm always screwing something up. Now, when Super Juice first came out, it had much larger humic particles inside of it, and you had to sort of screen it. I don't screen it anymore. I've found that I really don't need to. If I start the dilution process, I'll turn this off. If I start the dilution process in warm water and just shake it and then just leave it, come back in a minute or two, come back and shake it, leave it, it pretty much dissolves fairly well. If you're wondering about the spray bottles, it was 2 years ago we asked Anderson's to get these, to source these out and put them up on Amazon. This is a 20-to-1 ratio spray head, which is, you can use that for almost everything that you have, but you get 2 bottles. Shipping everything to you is like $18 or something. I always link to all this stuff on the page down below. Okay, so that's all done. I thought I'd go ahead and show you the front yard, because where we are in the front yard, we've done all of our Jumpstart program, and I put out my first coat of green shocker on the front. I'm getting ready to put out one more coat. I want to show you the green up on it. You can see that I've actually started to get some green come up here. See it all? It's pretty cool. So my lawn is out here waking up. And the one thing I really strongly encourage you guys is, when your lawn is waking up in the springtime, be gentle with it. Just leave it alone. Let nature do its thing. Let the temperature wake up your lawn. You don't want to do too much to it. Again, we've put down our pre-emergent back here. We've put down the balanced, and we've been watering. We've got some rain, and we came out last week. We hit it with our first coat of green shocker. I'll come out again in a couple of days, hit it again with green shocker, just very, very mild. Leave it alone. Don't do aerating, don't do verticutting, just let it be. Once your lawn wakes up and it's nice and green and healthy, that's when you can go ahead and start messing with it. But it's the same with seed. When you put down baby seed and it starts germinating, just leave it alone. Be gentle with it. Anyways, hope this has helped. Talk to you later. Dot.